Joe Hammond, Training Coordinator for Stat Ambulance. Today we are pleased to introduce our newly developed web training, which will encompass skill stations, equipment, and ambulance operations. Today's web training demonstrates the proper techniques that should be used to fully immobilize an injured patient. The standard equipment utilized for immobilization is a properly fitted C-collar, a long backboard with straps to secure the patient to the board, and head blocks to secure the patient's head to the backboard in an inline position. At certain times, you will also need padding to fill in voided areas. With this skill, always remember, it needs to be completed with no manipulation of C-spine at any time. Manipulation of C-spine can cause further injury to the patient, and the C-spine is what we're trying to protect. Here's how this skill is performed. First, give direction for someone to hold manual inline stabilization of the cervical spine.
Tiff, hold C-spine.
This is done by placing a hand firmly on each side of the patient's head, gently moving the head into an inline position. The chin should be in the center of the chest at all times. Once this has been initiated, it cannot be released until the patient is fully immobilized to the long backboard. Next, you need to assess pulse, motor, and sensory in all extremities. This is always done before and after immobilization of any part of the body.
Read my hands. My hand, my touching.
Right.
Push down. Pull up. Which one am I touching?
Once this is completed, your next step is to measure and apply the properly sized C-collar to the patient. This is done by measuring with your fingers from the lower portion of the mandible down to the base of the neck. Apply this C-collar to the patient using extreme caution not to manipulate C-spine, and always explain what you are doing to your patient.
I'm going to put the C-collar on your neck. It's going to be a little tight.
Always make sure that you pay attention with your partner in applying the C-collar. You do not want to manipulate C-spine at any time. Again, always maintain this neutral inline position. Now have your partner place backboard next to the patient. The EMT holding C-spine is responsible for any and all patient movement. Therefore, the patient should not be moved unless the person maintaining inline stabilization has instructed you when to move the patient. The patient should be log rolled on 3 towards you using a 3/4 log roll onto your knees. This allows you to assess the backside of the patient for any injury and allows for proper placement of patient on the backboard with no manipulation of C-spine.
We're going to roll on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we're going to roll back on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3.
Once your patient is log rolled back to the backboard, the patient will need to be secured with straps, first in the center of the patient, then on the lower extremities, and then upper torso. Again, at this time, it's always important to make sure that inline immobilization of the C-spine is maintained. Once all the straps are in place, your next step is to apply the head block and finish securing the patient's head to the backboard. The head blocks that we utilize come complete with the blocks that are adjustable and with the securement devices to secure the patient's head to the backboard. Once this step is completed, your patient is now fully immobilized and inline stabilization can be released. Once the head is secured, the final step that needs to take place is reassessment of pulse, motor, and sensory in all extremities. Again, this has to be completed upon immobilization of any part of the human body. At this point, your patient is now ready to be moved to a stretcher, covered, secured, and placed in ambulance for transport.